Good day, everyone. It is Ben from Second Dynasty. I feel a little bit under the weather, but I'm here with a Friday stream. The office is nice and quiet. It's a bit of a dreary day. Very low energy, but we're going to get through this anyway. And maybe it's just some kind of sympathy with my friends across the pond, who, of course, yesterday were celebrating their 4th of July celebrations, many of which may be fighting a hangover today. In any case, I thought we would return a little bit to Soul Survivor. We do have some products that need delivery. I'm going to be honest up front. This week, I have really struggled to get through work. There's just something about it being holiday season, seeing everyone else going off on holidays, the quietness in the office, not having people constantly, saying, "Hey Ben, what do you think about this or that?" And yeah, I don't know. I think there's a bit of illness going around as well. So I've got a bit of a headache I'm fighting through. I'm quite lethargic, but hey, I committed to getting out 52 episodes this year, and if I didn't stream today, I'd have to stream another day. So let's get this going. So one thing I did release earlier in the week was, of course, on Monday was the 1st of July, which means we had our release for Tribes. That, of course, was the vehicles we were showing off in last week's episode. So if you're curious about that, check out last week's stream. And while you're at it, why not like this one and sub if you haven't already. So hi to the chat. Hey Stosh, Anders, that blasted Samouflage, Mon Capitan, and Shergol and Tamsin. Nice. Some regular faces. I'm actually surprised that we even have this many people here today. I don't know why, but I guess that's it. So I just wanted to I've made these modifications to the scene with what Alban left me. Now, normally, let's see, I have my 70s toolbox for inspiration here for one of these things. So what I'm actually looking for is the Kickstarter project we had. This should be it. So Soul Survivor, if you want to make a late pledge, you can. Just click the link and it should take you on over to my mini factory. I would recommend perusing this first to see what you like. Funds finally came through. There was actually a huge delay with that because for some reason it went to my old bank account, which was closed. So we had to wait for that to get cancelled and sent back. That was fun. But now everything is settled, and yeah, let's have a look at what I'm talking about. So the workshop, I don't know why I didn't put it in here. Oh, because it's an add-on, that's why. So if I go into the add-ons here, and we scroll down a little bit, we'll see the tools pack STL files here. So the inspiration for this is kind of like obviously Alien Isolation, where Ripley's character, that's Ripley Jr., Amanda Ripley, puts together these makeshift weapons and things. A lot of people like to kit bash. I guess that includes Shadow Liger and a few other community members. I think Shergol also does some custom stuff, if I'm not mistaken. And I imagine it's quite frustrating at times to get STL files and just want a bit or a piece. So this kind of kit is about having some set dressing. Now, normally, the only way to get all of these done properly, like this is one of the few scenes where it's like bugger supports. We're not worrying about support-free printing. We just want to have a cool set piece. Maybe you would print it in resin. Maybe you wouldn't. But obviously, I guess this is a small picture, so maybe it's not that obvious, but what can we do? Let's see. If I open up one of these folders, let's go for this one, because it's got my zip files in it. We'll go back into our production, and then we want Starship 6, of course, images, and what I'm looking for here is the original renders that Alban put out. So this is one of the ones. I'm going to make this larger so we can kind of look and see what we got. So here it was a demonstration of the different items on offer and a rough idea about what we were suggesting you would get. Now, a closer inspection, and I'm going to show you this in Maya, you can see this toolbox here, toolbox, is extremely simplistic. And of course, this is a perfect example of what a sketch might look like as opposed to the final product. I'm wondering if I haven't turned any fancy features on in this scene. So let's just put on some, in case you're wondering what I was doing there, I was putting on the ambient occlusion, screen space ambient occlusion, which just sort of like adds a little bit of shading, see? And then it's kind of like a tool used in video games and that sort of thing, and it kind of makes the parts stick out a little bit more. And then I put on anti-aliasing. This is a bit rough. You can mostly see in the grid, I think. When I turn this on, the grid becomes a lot smoother. And I do have some lighting in the scene I could turn on. Shadows, usually you need to move an object in Maya before that works. Yeah. Why are they? Oh, I haven't turned on shadows for some reason. Oh, it's just that the shadows are very steep. So the direction of the lighting might need to change if that was going to be an effective thing. I'm going to turn it off for now. Mostly because it'll run faster. How's everyone doing this week? Hopefully doing better than I have been. Hopefully higher energy. Hopefully some of you have the weekend off. So going back to this again, you can kind of see that basically we just got this concept in place to have something to render to give you guys an idea about what you were getting. So there's going to be a bunch of individual improvised weapons / tools, and they will have their own STL files. So if you want to place them in your scenes and print them like on a table like this, or have them on a shelving or something like that, you could potentially do that. And then we have, of course, the workbench itself. We might have a couple of different variants, some more cluttered or organized than others. But today what I'd really like to do is take some of these simple concepts and develop them into individual items. Like, for example, Albin had this, screwdriver, a drill, ready to go. And these are simplistic objects. When we're working at the scale we're working at, that detail, there's no point in detailing it any more than it already is, because it's going to be for 28mm scale miniatures, and even if you scale that to twice the size, you're still not going to get a whole heap of detail shining through on these tools. So you're just looking for the basics. Some of these objects are a little too basic. So for example, this toolbox, I looked it over, and like this is not shitting on Albin whatsoever. He did exactly what I asked him to do, just a simplified version that we would then go back and do something with. So wanting to get more than just the vehicles out that I did on Monday, this is a good approach because I can fairly quickly put this together and add a couple of detail passes. And it doesn't need all that much. It's more a question of like, what variants do we want? What options? I could kind of imagine like putting out some shelving or something as well. Kind of making it feel like, a hardware store display or something like that. And yeah, that's what we're looking at. So some things I did, for example, just adding these straps to the side of these canisters, I feel does a lot to make it feel a lot more detailed. I deliberately haven't left all of this in at the moment. I'm considering if these tanks should have some kind of base so that they do print easier. But I'm not quite convinced yet. But yes, the main thing that I did was I took this hammer, which was a lot shorter, extended it out so it now feels a little bit hammery. It's kind of amazing that such a simple object it does have a slightly sci-fi feel to it for some reason. I don't quite know if it's the handle or the cube in there. Let's see. With resin prints, you can get some pretty impressive details, but the trick is getting just enough that everything isn't too flat. But with low detail, that painters can be creative. Yes. So you do want to have some flat surfaces to work on. And like things like the flamethrower, that's gonna, pick things up a little bit better, I feel. But when it comes to these simpler objects, honestly, if you're painting them up, you're not going to put a whole heap of detail into them. So this is my version of the toolbox, and this is the sort of like reference image. I think it's over here that I was using here. And I did just a search for a 70s toolbox, reading through The Art of Alien Isolation, which is a really cool book. Actually, I just noticed that Photoshop is still open, so I'm going to close that real quick because it could potentially cause issues. Oh, and I will also close down Fifth Frontier War here. I have been communicating with sculptors. This project's underway. Kai Shinika is meant to be doing the Zoes. We have some other guys we're trying out, specifically that Kai works with, working on the Imperial armors. Still trying to figure out and hammer out exactly what is going to be included. But that project is underway, and I'm hoping to have it sort of like up as a reserve page next week, but I really would like an example of both. So I'm kind of waiting on that. I do have some demo pictures that I could show potentially. I think John put some up. So for example, we have like our Imperial battle armor. We kind of had to improvise the back of it because there's no shots of the back of it. There'll be a couple of other variants and whatnot. It kind of looks like battle dress, but if we're being honest, the reason why is because Mongoose wants to have like a different kind of look. So this is the Mongoose 2E look for battle armor, and we'll see what they come up with for battle dress. But for now, I think that's a nice little compromise. We'll see what they say. But really, we're just looking for a bit of just looking to show a little bit of progress. So we also have sorry, I need to get to the right one. So we also have a Imperial sort of like pilot, I guess, which we thought would be a good stand-in for a tank pilot as well. So we have this one. So you can kind of see things are underway, at least. Alrighty. Let us get back to Maya. Oh, that's right, I was going to close this off. So we just close all tabs there. They're just books from Mongoose that I've either bought or they've given to me. So, yeah, some nice detail should come out from those armors. Like, we're going to pose them. We might do, some weapon swaps like what we did with Soul Survivor. But yeah, let's look at this. So I've already moved around a few bits and bobs here to make things work. I'm trying to get rid of some of, like, you can see here that this, for example, actually goes to the wall. Again, it was just organized for rendering. What I'm thinking the next thing will be to do is to sort of like change this here. So if I press up, I'm hoping, what I'm looking for is, I think it'll be under my head, but you might see some numbers up here. And you can see that this has been rotated. I'm going to copy this group and move it down. And we're just gonna zero out all of these figures. And that should give us another toolbox. And the idea being that all of these toolboxes and objects I will export as their own STL files so that people can customize with these. It's an experiment of sorts. It kind of presses up the value as well. I don't remember exactly what we were asking for the sort of tools. But yeah, I just want to increase the value for money. This thing looks a little bit better, although it is harder to differentiate between top and bottom. You can kind of see here, I don't know, I think that's at a reasonable level of detail. I don't think we really need the handles. to not have a gap, because I think you're naturally going to get that. Yeah, I think we can afford to just do something like this. It's going to look slightly better. I mean, there'll be a natural extrusion and it could drip down, but it'll still feel like there'll be a little bit of light coming through. Let's see. You like the tank pilot, but the soldier looks off to you. Fantasy vibe in the armor. Look, nothing we can do about that. We literally just going off the designs that Mongoose have given us. So that's where we're at with that. Although the body proportions are, I do feel that the character is a little bit broad in the shoulder, but I kind of want to wait to see what it looks like in a posed position before I judge things. So yeah, I want to see if that intersects. It does a little bit. Okay, so I might bring this up just a tad. And sometimes when the gaps are so small, it doesn't matter if things stick out just a little bit. Let's see, so I should be able to move these, and I'm just going to use the good old move the pivot point and then scale in one direction trick. So there we go. That actually looks fairly decent as it is, to be honest. I think, you know, once you get a bit of paint on that, like all the detailing that you would see on one of these old pictures. Oh, sorry, wrong window. Although, yeah, what happened to that other window? Did I close it? Oh, it came on the ZBrush one, sorry. Yeah, Kathy's campaign here. Why don't we do a nice little shout out to her? We can stick this in the chat. If you haven't checked it out, check out Galactic Races there. You need Daleks. I saw the Dalek thing. Would there be a way in 3DO that you could, with Second Dynasty minis, have a create your own mini, swappable weapons poses, and then export for printing? Probably too much work. It's been done before with other systems, and simply the simple fact is that we are normally not that much in the business of making miniatures. So it's sort of like a thing that we do on the side. It would be a new market for us. And I'm not saying that it's not an interesting idea. It's just that, yeah, it would be a big investment of time and resources, and we're always just running on the, you know, edge of our seat sort of thing. So, right, so we've got two decent looking toolboxes. You're offering some Anthro Wolves in armor for $1 on your tribe, which might be useful for some Varga fans. Yeah, I did see that. Why don't we quickly just drop over onto your tribe? Let's see. Is it all one word? No? Maybe if I click here. Alright, so this should get people to your tribe. There you go. A little ad for you as well. So there you go. And of course, yeah, show some love here. Get in on those 22 tribers. We can do better than that, I'm sure. And in any case, I don't know why I'm not logged in, but I'm definitely not going to log in now. I have a habit on stream of like showing things that I shouldn't show, and if you really want to be malicious. So let's make this table look like it makes a bit of sense. At the moment, these things look like they're rotated to land on each other. That looks kind of natural. There's a tiny bit of intersection. That doesn't really hurt us at this point in time. This box, however, I feel does not. And I think too, if we're going by everything else, let's delete this one and let's move this back to where it was. And mesh, combine, delete the history, toolbox 2, I will call it. And then I'm going to duplicate that one just to sort of like move it out. So we've got a copy. And then we can proceed to move this thing back a little. And I think it was rotated like 10 or 15 degrees, so we'll just go for like 10 for now. I want to make sure it's not hitting anything. And even now that makes a huge difference, right? The only thing is like it needs to come up a bit. So I'm just going to manually move that pivot point, and then get it to settle down. And I specifically said to Albin, do not worry about intersection on this one. Intersection being where two 3D objects go through each other. And then I really want to replace this one now. I could probably, let's see, I'm going to duplicate these. So that I can combine them. Delete history. And then technically, if I grab like this corner here and match that to here, and this thing is rotated 83.5. If I do the same thing here, let's see, it was in the Y. Let's see if this does the same angle. It did the exact opposite. Which is good, because now that we have, we can use our rotation lock. And we should be able to just turn that 90 degrees. You can see there's a slight variation in the size here. I don't see that as a problem. You can kind of see the difference here between the sketch version and the finalized version. There we go. And we could potentially do one where the sort of mechanics of this thing are actually in action. I can't remember, because there is a gap in here, right? So we could technically do something about that. What I'll do first is I'll just duplicate this. I'm going to delete the old one. We don't need that. I'm going to rotate that back to where it was, and then we'll just check out a few different things. So my idea here is, if I grab the parts I want to rotate, I guess we'll see how well I built this thing. Alright, so that should just be it. And technically if I move this pivot point, there's a bit of annoying intersection. People don't need to know. That's not going to print well, unfortunately. But hey, maybe we'll adjust things right at the end so it looks a little bit better. And I think we want to go here. And technically we should just be able to slide this out to something like this, right? And you would, I guess, I'm really experimenting here. So you'd want to get this to a point where it looks like it kind of matches. I really think it looks like this has to go all the way out though. I don't know, this is going to take a bit too much time. I realized this is a bit too fiddly for me, so I'm going to cancel back to here and see if this is like, is that worth having open? Because then you've got to show something inside as well. I think we'll leave it for now. We might go back to that in the future at some point, but for now we'll just leave it. Might adjust the bottom slightly so it actually is, you know, not intersecting on the base. Let's see, so if we go there. Wait, is that hovering? Yeah, that's hovering for some reason. Oh Lord, there is a dog barking. Oh. So there we go. And we'll move that just a little bit. And we've gotten some intersection over there, but that's alright. Now we've got it in the right plane, that's the important thing, so we can sort of like nudge it just a little. And just having things a little off kilter just makes it feel like, you know, someone in a rush plopped it up on the table, right? Or something like that. There are probably a bunch of tools that we could probably use. I'm wondering if maybe we need like a screwdriver or two to like round out this wall. Let's see. Thank you, says the Blasted Soundflyer. So who wants to give me 40,000 US dollars so I can buy a Mimaki printer and print color miniatures? Anyone? Bueller? Anyone? So yeah, but basically, isn't that the kind of printer though that my mini factory bought, and then the miniatures were really kind of crap? And then the other thing too is, in order to get those color prints, you would also need to UV map and texture all those miniatures. Easier said than done. But I think like the tech could get better in a couple of years. It's worth keeping an eye on. Oh, I wonder if we've created a gap there. That's not great. So what I'm thinking is that this table actually needs to be at the same level. So I'm going to grab these pulleys and we'll go up with this. That's kind of guaranteeing that it's a flat surface. We haven't got that gap underneath anymore. And I did do a variation of this little blowtorch where I rotated the little, I guess it's some kind of eye protection thing. It doesn't seem that super protective. But I did kind of like give Albin the art of alien isolation and said like, do something in this vein. So don't copy this outright, but like see these iterations, do your own sort of iteration based on that design. So here we have a hammer. I'm going to take this hammer design here and just create one or two screwdriver variants. And all I'm really going to do is just keep the I think I'm just going to keep the handle. So I'll drop this down a little bit to something like that. And I think we could probably just, like these are considerably low poly to be honest, but like at these scales it doesn't matter. Hello all late to the stream, just hanging out. Well, welcome Brian. You're most welcome. We're not doing too much today, I'm not feeling 100%, but so far so good. Sometimes it's easier just to duplicate the object and take parts that you want to keep. So I'm going to get rid of, actually I'm just going to start here and I'm going to move the pivot point down and match it to here and then have it connect to the middle of this thing. And then I'm just going to scale it down, and I think I've got it set to scale at like 25% at a time. So this is probably about as fancy as we want to get this. We'll make this a bit longer. We'll switch the texture to something metallic. And again, like they're thicker than they should be, and most of that is just about the fact that we have, you know, a certain medium that we have to work within. That feels very large for a screwdriver, to be honest. I'm going to shorten this a little bit more. Actually, I might come up from the bottom, and I'll just scale this down another 25% or something like that. So there we go. Mesh combine, and we could maybe iterate with these by fooling around with the end result. So I guess if we wanted a Phillips head or something, I'm just trying to think what the easiest way to do this is. I think it's just a case of bringing that up, and then obviously we need to create some kind of cross section, so I think we just grab really hoping this makes sense. And let's try some extrusions here, and we'll just go like 0.1. Yeah, that kind of creates a crazy shape, doesn't it? But if we actually get clever and merge these, you end up with something that is kind of Phillipsy in shape. Not really perfect. Honestly, what I think we'll do is create an edge loop around here. Right, yeah. So I'm going to manually do this. I wouldn't normally, but there are a lot of... there aren't a lot of angles to this. And what I'm going to look to do is just to flatten the top, right? And again, this is kind of like unnecessary detail. I don't think it's going to print out and actually be seen, but hopefully we get something of the shape being preserved. Let's see. So if we sort of mark these and get these to be on the same level, and then actually bring this down to there, I'm hoping this looks a bit more correct. It still feels like it's a bit off. Maybe we can grab these, and rather than scaling down this circle, I'm gonna try scaling it just where it is. And what I'm trying to see is like squaring off these edges here, because I think when it feels flattened, whoops, it will look a bit more the part. Let's see. Just wondering how much you actually see once you print. Yeah, exactly. Not too much, to be honest. This is overkill, but I guess by doing a simple job, one of the benefits will be that we could potentially reuse this in the future. So to get rid of this annoying shading, I'm just going to harden the edge. And that's looking much more like a screwdriver at this point in time. The last thing I would probably do is actually get rid of these edges. Is that all four? And then maybe we just come up a little bit with that. Or down. So, yeah, not really necessary, but it kind of does make things a little bit more detailed than the other one. And let's iterate this one more, because if you have a Phillips head. So I was rambling on, but one of the things I was going to say is, in The Art of Alien Isolation, fantastic art book, once again, they do describe what the theory was with that game, and one of the reasons why it feels so genuine to the film Alien in Alien Isolation, which came out in 2014. Amazing that it was 10 years ago. A real shame that they haven't made anything else like it. One of the reasons was that they had a production rule that they could only use parts and machines for their sets that existed in 1979. So, you know, it would be quite logical to have Phillips head screwdrivers along with flathead screwdrivers. So it is time to create a flathead screwdriver. And I think the easiest way to do this will actually be to get rid of all of these. Whoops. Around here. Let's delete those. And we'll do the same on the other side. I think you can already see where I'm going with this. Let's see. Someone retracted a message. Woo! Only games uses a Mimac, but I don't think they know exactly how Gentle Giant uses it too and produces much better results. What is Gentle Giant? And yeah, my mini factory actually got one of our miniatures from Sleipnir, one of the robots, and they said, "Oh, we'll do all the work. We just want it to be a part of, you know, this or that campaign that we're going to run," and it just didn't end up looking very good. So I'm going to scale this in. Whoops! Why did that do that? Because I need to scale the edges, not the edges, or the vertices would have been better. I'm just going to move this back to there. We'll scale it down. This is one of the ones that goes backwards. Stuff it. I'm going to go for the vertexes instead. Alright, so I'm going to move that over to there, that over to there, and then I'm going to go merge the center, move that back. We'll do the same on the opposite side. That gives us our sort of flat end, right? So I think then what we need to do is increase the size of that a little, just to maybe there, and then we want to get some these scaled back down. Gonna move that across to there, that across to there, and we'll match there, and then we'll scale it. Oh, that did not fit. Oh, I've got my grid on, that's why. That'll get it pretty close. So it's not an exact science when you're trying to recreate geometry, but good enough. No one's going to be able to see the difference at this scale. And these are fairly simple objects, to be honest. So technically I just scaled this down once. So if we just do that, and when I say once, what I mean is in my tool settings here, and my head will be on top of this, so I would pop this out, but maybe I'll just move it over to the side so I think you can see underneath my head here. There is something here called Step Snap, and it's set to relative and 5% at the moment. This is set to rotation though, so if we move it to scale instead, you can see it's set to 0.25, which means 25%. So if 1 is 100%, 0.25 will be 25%. So basically, every time I move the mouse, once I've got one of these controllers selected, it is scaling it down by an amount of 25% of where it was at the start of the action. And then I'm just realigning these with some simple vertex snaps. And most of this work can translate to, say, if you're working in Blender instead. Let's see, I want to close this off and we'll add one division. We're still going to need to merge. Whoops, where on earth did it go? Somehow I zoomed out massively. Let's see. Gentle Giant high-end collectibles. They have a 3D printed Grateful Dead logo / skull in clear globe again, all 3D printed. Do you got any links to that? I guess you could put it up in the Discord later in the other channel. Alright, so we've merged those. Now I think we just maybe lift this just a tad. A tad more. I'm just going to manual. And we'll, if we close these off now, it went back to blue, that's annoying. Let's get our metallic. There we go, AI metal. And then we've got some n-gons here. I can see, if I convert this to triangles, we're going to have some issues where it's really what I want it to do is sort of like fan out, right? So if I want to control this a little, see here how one side did what I wanted but not the other. If I know that one side's working, what I can just do is create a line in between here and say here, and then this kind of creates some guide points so that when I do eventually click it, it reshapes in the correct order. So some of this is like overkill for what it is. It's on such a small scale. But hey, we don't know how this technology is going to progress in the future. Maybe we'll all be color printing just based on these shaders in the future. But there we go. We've got 2 different screwdrivers and a spare that we could use as a template. I don't think these will print out super well, but you know, we could thicken them up potentially if we had to. Well, we'd need to test print some of these things. With the results you got from only games, you think that they had an old inkjet from the 90s. Maybe. I do know that I've heard mixed remarks about the quality, that some people are getting, you know, very, very nice quality results, and some people are getting pretty abysmal quality results. And it seems to depend mostly on whoever was working at the day. So I think they got some people there that know what they're doing, and then maybe some people that don't quite know what they're doing. That's interesting. I thought that should be snapped there. Okay. So I'm just going to grab some of these control objects, and I'm kind of hoping... Oh, that does not look right at all. Oh, is that floating? Ugh. Oh no. Yeah, that's not good. Those other ones aren't though, so maybe what we need to do is copy these over. So let's try that instead. So, and then I think we just manually move this. It's not going to matter too much because again, I don't think this is going to come out too well on FDM. But I'm really hoping that, you know, that this will look okay if we do 2 together. And maybe we move them down actually to there. Then we move this to the center. And then just up a bit. Because that looks more deliberate now, I feel. Doesn't look like these are exactly centered. They're not. Oh, okay, that's annoying. Well, what if we move that over to there, and then we just mirror it? And again, it's at such a small scale. That looks more right. Freeze the transformations. And then maybe we move this one over a bit more. Actually, let's delete these all together because they weren't aligning correctly. And if we move that over to there, move this drill. Actually, this drill is not the one we want to use. Let's get our object list up, check out where it is. So normally we wouldn't want these objects to be as they were just there. I'm going to use the one that I've used for exporting instead. I'm going to move this over, have this pop out a little bit more, and you do want it intersecting with the wall a little bit. And then just thinking about the weight of the drill, you probably want this sort of like to sit like this on the wall. So something like that. Let's move it over a little bit more so that there would be room there. And then the ultimate alignment we're going to base on where we move this peg. So it does feel a little on the low side. Let's move this over to like, this would have to be down here. Maybe we will scratch that 15 degrees and see what we have here. Because I imagine these are kind of like magnetic hooks or something anyway. So we'll leave it like that. I mean, this stuff is still not going to be... I mean, I imagine you'd still have to use resin to print it. And that way we can kind of like just duplicate this setup, but a couple over, like so, and we can stick another screwdriver in there. So we can take our flathead. Should be actually naming this. Screwdriver flathead. Screwdriver Phillips head. And that'll help us sort of see. And then what I might do is actually just match this to here. Let's rotate that 90 degrees. Move the pivot here down. It should just be a matter of moving it over to there. There we go. Like, we might need to thicken up the screwdriver heads just a little bit. To be honest, I think the flathead thing needs to be like, I think we would need to move all of those polygons. Honestly, that's going to be like, this should be as thick as that. It's not going to matter too much, to be honest. They have a 3D printed great. Okay, I read that one already. With the results, I got. Sorry. That Blaster Stamflage says, posted a couple links in Discord in the other stuff. Thank you, Blasted. Why no Robertson head screwdriver? What's a Robertson? Is that like what we call an Allen key, maybe? Like hexagonal? I don't know, guys. I'm a 3D nerd, not a mechanic. Why am I thinking of bones? Actually, I should do this one at a time. Hey, Dalton, how you going? Hope you're feeling better, mate. At the top of the show, we showed off a couple of Imperial troops, so you should probably rewind this once you're done if you want to get a squiz. And actually, if you could beat E-Gem, if you have any reference art for Zerdonic weapons, that's not the image I had to send to Mika. That would be good. So I think, is that right, or did we go 2? We went 2. Okay, and then we're going to match that to, let's see, we matched it to that. So that's a little bit better, and then I think we just widen it here as well. I think we're still at a scale where it really doesn't matter. I don't think all of these details are going to come out. It would be ultra fragile if that was the case. So I don't know if this, maybe what we actually need to do is duplicate these. And actually I can grab all 4. Yeah, this is what we need to do. And then just move it down so that there's like a second buffer there. And whilst these aren't technically touching, in practice, when you print it, it should be alright. Traveler Imperium? Yeah, yes, Traveler. If I'm describing Imperials, it would be under our Traveler license, yeah. So this looks a little bit more workshop-y is my point. Are we missing anything? Sorry, Robertson's a square head. Okay. I did not know that. Add a little speaker to make it sonic. A sonic screwdriver. I actually really like that idea. Although the sonic screwdriver obviously has changed quite a bit over the years. We could probably do a little bit more storage on the walls there. I don't know. The idea was to make it feel a little bit more complete. We need these straps duplicated as well. I don't think we'll... Oh, they're not centered. Why are they not centered? Maybe it wasn't a perfect circle. Let's see, that matches there. Doesn't match really well over here, so I think... Oh. That's ultra confusing. Oh no, sorry, it's just an illusion thing, because it has this strap thing coming off it. So, okay, that was right. We duplicate them up, match it to there. Maybe we rotate this a little bit. Actually, if we create a little bit of variation here, the asymmetry just makes it feel a little bit more lived in, I feel. Let's see, you have the most freedom with Zoe weapons and vehicles. There's very little is officially described or drawn. Okay. I wish that were the case for the vehicles. Sorry to say it, I hope Matthew isn't... Well, even if Matthew is listening, I kind of... There's a part of me that really just wants to redesign like half of the ships in the Traveller universe. Like for the sake of... Maybe that's imposing too much of myself into things, but the blocky sort of like what's the word I'm looking for? The blocky geo objects. What is the geo standing for? I'm struggling for the geometrical shapes. Not really my thing. The ships don't look that practical. But the Zodani stuff in particular is just like, you could, if you're going to go for that more sort of curvy shape, I think there's more you could do with it to give it some distinct geomorphs. Yeah. Geometrical was the word I was looking for. But apart from the helmets looking bug-eyed, I think even the new helmets look a little bit... Let me see. If I go back to our sort of like, yeah, here we are again. I mean, there's a buggy sort of look on things. This is the new mongoose looking version of battle armor. It's not battle dress, just battle armor. And we, if we have our search here, I'm just going to go for like Zentradi Heavy Trooper. Because there is a version of the Zentradi helmets, which I feel look... Let's see, is that the right one? No. Like, when this thing is down, it actually looks a lot like the Zodani armor. There you go. It's kind of hard to see here. I'm going to guess that this predates the Zodani armor, and there might be some influence here. Let's see. Unfortunately, that's too small. This one maybe? Even smaller, great. Yeah, sorry guys, I'm trying to find one with the helmet down, but this will look very, very small and my head's going to pop up underneath it, but so if you, the Zentradi Heavy Troopers from the original Macross series look almost identical in the helmet to the Zodani troops. And I'm pretty sure they date back to 1982, so probably a bit of crossover there. Anyway. So we're getting towards the end of the session. If I had more time, you know, having like a welding mask or something would be interesting here. Or, you know, maybe even just having some duct tape. We could add some duct tape pretty easily, I reckon. So let's grab one of these hooks and stick it over here somewhere. Well, we've taken off our grid snapping. Actually, here's probably better. Then what we're just going to go create polygon primitives, and we're going to create a, let's see, do we want a torus or do we want a pipe is what we want. So that will just give us something that's almost exactly what we need right from the get-go. We can increase the fidelity here. I'm going to increase this to 128 sides. And, wow, that really kind of almost was perfect right from the start. So let's move this over to there. Up to here maybe. And down. I'm just going to manually place this out. So we might want to increase the size of it just a little bit. Make it feel like a bit more of a roll by grabbing both of these edges. Actually, let's go here instead. Not entirely certain of the size, but if I go 0.1 maybe. Oh, that's massive. We might need to have it that big though. I'm not sure. So let's go 0.05 and 0.05 there. Actually, no, we don't need that. We'll cheat instead and just add a little rim there, and what we do is we delete. I can delete this too. I'm just trying to create a very, very basic 0.05 sort of lip there, just so you know it kind of feels more like a roll of something. And let's take off the edge guides there. Let's see. Travel is like Battletech. The art aesthetic is so intrinsic to the grognard mindset that nothing really can change until new fans and players come into it. See, I don't incredibly agree with that because there was opportunity to do something different. Mongoose could have done it. I think what needs to happen is we need Ben Tardy and their mecha ship designs from Second Dynasty. Battle armor is combat armor. Yeah, sorry, that's what I mean. Yeah, I'm mixing that up. Combat armor, Tamsin. Yeah, you're right. Ben Trady, spelling mistake. I got it. The handyman's secret weapon, yes. What they call silver tape in Sweden. Silver tape. If the Xenos don't find you handsome, they can at least find you handy. So yeah, there are. I think this needs to be bigger, to be honest. I think we could go. I think we could go like 1.5 times the size. That looks more like a decent sort of size tape. Too thick though, so I think the easiest result is honestly just to manually move this a little. So something like that. And then obviously we move that down. And why not duplicate that, rotate it 90 degrees. And we want to get it up on the table. Like so. That actually worked out quite well. There might be a bit of intersection, but nothing we're worried about. And that kind of like, we're telling more of a story here, aren't we? I think the only other thing we could possibly do here, we can get rid of that edge, is what if we made this slightly smaller? Oh shit, yeah, we've got this locked in, so I need to go into my tool settings and we'll turn off the relative snap so I can decide it myself. Just make it a little bit smaller, which means we now need to because we scaled in all directions for simplicity. And what I'm actually going to do is grab just a couple of these, extrude, let's say 0.1 maybe, and I'm just going to get very cheeky here, grab these edges, I'm going to move that edge there, and then I'm just going to do a little trick of just scaling it a little bit. And now it kind of looks like it's been used a bit, right? That's the idea. Alrighty, so I think our workshop is looking a lot more interesting than it was. We could maybe just add back like a third screwdriver or something. But we're certainly, this looks a lot more, and actually I think just like having maybe some more of these that we've that are like attached to the wall but not in use, like so. Maybe that kind of like makes things feel a bit more lived in, so that you know, you've got a couple of extra hooks and things where maybe something else belongs, like so, and then maybe another one down there where that other tape belonged. Okay, so what do we think of this? A reminder of where we were at the start. If we go back to our campaign, actually no, we had the weapon pack here. So this is what we started with, a very, very simple box. This toolbox looked okay. The tool handle here too I've modified, you know, the hammer was way too small. Like this is where the handle ends. You know, there's some intersection of objects, you know, just very simplistic. Even these cylinders look way too simplistic. But again, now let's turn on some lighting, and maybe we'll mess with the lighting just a bit so we get a better angle. So let me just very quickly select our lighting group. Actually, let's see, select objects. I'm hoping we can, where are the controls? Are they locked or something? I don't see my object controls. Okay, there they are. All right. So select objects. I don't see any of the controls. So I'm just going to move these down a lot closer to the center. Something like that. We'll do the same for our lighting there. And then I could potentially grab these, and all I'm going to do is try rotating this until we get a better angle. Wow, they're not having any effect. Let's try this. Here we go. There we go. Okay, so just trying to get the... Are the shadows not on? They should be. Just trying to get something to make this look a bit more dramatic and interesting. Maybe we will turn down the intensity. Wait, why didn't this not minus? There you go. So we can actually see where the shadows are falling. Trying to see if I can get some rim lighting a little bit. There we go, something like that. Let's put that back on reference so we can't select it. Let's get rid of our grid. And I'll try and make the real estate here a bit smaller. So yeah, this is where we ended. We've got a bunch more tools that we can play with, that you can have a set dressing and add to your scenes. Might do another variant where you've got some shelving or something like that. But in general, I think we're in a better place than we were when we started. What remains is to export this, to turn it into a proper finished product. But and I might consider, for example, rotating some of those screwdrivers on the side or something like that. I know technically this is how you would hang them, but I do need to give some consideration to how it will print. But I suspect it's on such a small scale that it's not going to matter too much. Alright, so I think this is where we are going to leave it. I might have to stream on Thursday next week because my wife has a race day. So I will be working from home on Friday. So I might stream Thursday next week instead. Just to make sure that, I've got all of those episodes I'm looking for. And also, it keeps me honest. If I'm streaming, it means I'm actually creating stuff. It means, it kind of forces me into it. And sometimes it's just that exchange of talking to people, my fans and friends, that kind of pushes me over the edge. And some of these details, like, they just won't come out on 3D printers as they are today. But it doesn't hurt either. Actually, why don't we just... I doubt this will work, but I'm just going to... I'm going to group this, duplicate and move it over. And then I'm selecting the geometry again. I'm going to go Mesh, Combine, History, Export selected, Work, Shop, .stl. It didn't turn green, which is a good sign. Here we've got the sort of like dirt rider I was working on the other week. Let's just clear this space, import the object. Now I need to get to the right folder, which, let's see, I think it's easy to go through this images folder to sort of get in the right area. And we want to go into export, and we want tools pack there. Let's try opening the workshop. And here we go. This is what it ends up as. I'm not going to fix the mesh. Actually, let's do that real quick. So it should make it printable. This is still going to be an issue. I don't think it'll print as is. It's going to need some supports. It might be complicated to support too. I think even in FDM you would print this with a similar consideration as you would if you were doing it in SLA. Oh, by the way, if you're still there, Dalton, have you got your SLA printer going yet? Let's see. Low energy solar panels. Yeah, I need solar panels. So, okay, there we go. Model is finished, and I'm just going to rotate this real quick to like 45 degrees. Something like that. So you would definitely need supports. But I just was interested in seeing what kind of detail level we were preserving. So, again, you're not getting a whole heap. But, yeah, and this is FDM. But for example, rotating it onto its side like that, you're probably getting more detail than well, let's compare this actually. Let's do one. Oops. Sorry, I need to copy this. That's the silly thing. Let's do one that's sitting on its back. Oh, no. Is this going to rotate everything? Yeah, so I think what we need to do is, I think there's set a separated object there. So I hope now, yeah, this rotates by itself, and we'll put one on its back. Oh, these are not a separated object. Let's see. So we'll put that on its back, and then we'll just do a automatic arrangement slice now, and we'll see what the various different results are. So you can kind of get a taste for what this requires. You can see here there will be some overhangs. The blues indicate areas that it will have trouble with that you would need to support. And this would be quite fragile. On the side, you get decent detail on the tooling. And if it's flat, the tools kind of suffer. The ones that are lying down, the ones on the wall look better. So the kind of like putting it at 45 degrees is kind of like a compromise in quality. So there are a couple of options there. None of them are perfect or ideal, but even with FDM, you should be able to get a simple shape. It looks like the flat version. Honestly, it would still need some supports, like you might want to add, let's see, in the print settings here, support material, we should have organic supports turned on, and then if we just manually paint in a few to match the problem areas, like there. I don't know exactly how it's going to solve all of it. Some of it's worse than others, and some of it will be almost impossible to remove. So this is not a perfect solution by any means, but you know, you should be able to get some of these out. Again, resin's probably the way to go. Alright, that's it for me. I see I'm losing you anyway. Have a wonderful day, have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you guys probably on Thursday. Alright, bye.